Hello, everyone out there in the world. Welcome to Laser Focus. My name is Kyle Anderson. This is the Deep Dive Pop Culture Podcast from Nerdist. Thank you for joining us again. I am very stoked for this week, as per. I am joined once again by a perennial favorite on the show, my longtime colleague and good friend, Tai Gooden. Hi, Tai.
Hi, Kyle. I'm so excited too. Like
Yeah,
this is something I've been waiting on us to do for a while. So I'm
yeah.
hyped. Yeah.
So a little backstory. Since Ty and I basically started working together, we have our, work Slack, and we are constantly putting lyrics to things as though they are sentences. That is like a go-to for both of us, really. But I'm constantly like mentioning lyrics that fit whatever situation, and especially TV theme songs. We're sort of raised by television and
Mhm.
have a lot of TV in our brains. And so we thought it would be fun for this one to just kind of talk about like the bygone age of TV theme songs. Because I mean, 80s and 90s, that's really the heyday in our, of actual theme songs, many of which actually went to like the charts. Like these were
Yeah.
like hits, some of them. And so we're gonna talk about it just in general, but like and why we have such good memories for them. Like those are seared into my brain. I sometimes I'll forget to do very minor things that I do every week, and yet I will still remember the theme song to X show. But one of the things we're going to do is we're going to go back and forth and quiz each other. So we're just going to say the lyrics. We're obviously not going to sing them, and see if we can get some. And I think we've done cartoons and also sitcoms. Those are the ones that are kind of the easiest. Although
Yeah.
there's probably some other ones in there, or there could be some other ones in there, but I feel like most dramas did not have lyrics.
Right.
Most. Yeah, I'm stoked about this. What growing up, like, what was I won't say what was your favorite because that might give some away, but like,
hmm
um, when do you remember like really digging on theme songs and knowing that like, oh, this is kind of part of my existence?
Yeah. Well, like you said, we both were kids who were raised by TV, which was not an uncommon thing in the 90s. Like I was a
Absolutely.
latchkey kid. I was the youngest. I had an older sibling that was like out and about and doing things. Mom was working a lot. So I spent a lot of time in front of the TV. And I also spent a lot of time at my grandmother's house. So it was kind of like when I think about my earliest music memories, a lot of it is my family, which is very musically inclined. So they're definitely like gospel,
Mm,
jazz, hip hop type people or whatever. But there's also like the Sesame Street theme song and like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and
yeah.
Rugrats and Darkwing Duck and all of those songs are like ones that are like seared in my memory. So you have like those in one bucket, and then there's like another bucket with like Matlock and Murder She
Yeah.
Wrote and like the theme for like The Young and the Restless because I was watching those very adult and grown up
Yeah.
things with my grandmother. So that was those are just foundational memories for me, just like, watching certain TV shows or reading certain books, like with Goosebumps and things like that. Like sitcom theme songs are just a foundational part of my like pop culture loving experience.
Yeah. Same. I used to make tapes. Like I would put my tape recorder up to the television and
Mhm.
tape the theme song so that I could listen to just a string of theme songs.
Yeah.
Um, and like to the point where, and I would listen to them over and over and over again. I wish I had those tapes still. I don't. I'm sure they died anyway, and I wouldn't be able to. But I know
Oh,
that there
no.
were some that were on there that were shows that lasted maybe a season or something like that. Like,
Wow.
and I wish I still had them, but my mom, like, literally, uh, late last year was just like, I got rid of everything in the storage bin. It's like, oh, okay. So
No.
I guess anything that I
Yeah.
had in there was
Right, because some of
gone.
that stuff maybe lost to time.
Yeah.
Like you said, if it was on for 1 season, I mean, you might be able to find it on YouTube, but
Yeah.
how would you even know what to go look for? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure that there were some that like I've totally forgotten, but that would listen to like constantly. So anyway, I made those tapes all the time. And then eventually, like when they started putting, usually it was much older shows, but like put them out on tape and then later CD. I would have like, there was, I don't know if you remember this, but there was like a series of CDs that like there was one that was like all sci-fi shows and one that was like all superhero
Yes.
shows and stuff like that. Um, and boy, I think I had all four of those volumes or whatever they were, and
Mhm.
I love them to pieces. I would listen to
Same.
them constantly.
Yeah, for me, I
Uh,
think it's like almost like an escapism type thing. So, like, I think of like sitcom themes as a bridge. So I'm
mhm,
living in my own I'm very much a person that likes to live in other realities and kind of live in my head and stuff. So like the theme song is like the bridge from my world, my reality. Once I hear that, it just like kicks on and triggers something where it makes
yeah,
me immediately want to transfer into that world, into that reality. So love them. Like
yeah,
I literally, when I hear certain theme songs now, it just takes me back to like a certain place. Like I can see certain things, I smell certain things, I feel certain emotions, like
mhm.
nostalgia kicks in. So it's fantastic.
That's so funny, and I just remembered, so my parents' song at their wedding, like, the song they danced to
Mhm.
was the theme from The Greatest American Hero,
Really?
which it's a song that was on the radio, but, like,
Yeah.
"Believe it or not, I'm walking on air." That was their song. And now, in fairness, their marriage did not last, but, so it's not like that has a great track record, but, like, it was just like, oh, yeah, that was ingrained in our brains growing up, was like, TV theme
Yeah.
songs are not just the beginning of a show, they are actual songs that you can listen to and enjoy, and,
Right.
I remember the lyrics to them sometimes much better than actual songs.
Yeah, yeah, and even the ones that weren't like, actual existing songs already that were written specifically for the show, like It was it was an easy way to be able to have a synopsis that went on constantly.
Mhm.
So, like, you could be flipping through the TV. This could be XYZ show that's, like, on season 3, episode 10 or something, and you know how sitcoms were back then, there's not really a whole lot of
Yeah.
continuity, things change a whole lot, but you could literally listen to the theme song and be like, "Do I wanna watch this or not?"
Mhm. 'Cause it was a good
Yeah,
vibe check for the show, like,
yeah.
very rarely is it was the theme song, and there was a lot of, like, very schmaltzy theme songs, especially in the, like, ABC lineup when we were kids.
Mhm.
Um, but generally, you would get the vibe of the show, from whatever the song was and stuff, like, and a lot of the ones, like, that don't have lyrics or whatever, you still like, the one that I always go to that still pops into my head randomly is Night Court. I mean, I know that show's back, but,
Yeah,
I haven't watched any of the new show, but, like, the OG Night Court theme is so good, and it has, like, the best bass line in it.
it is fantastic.
Um
My dad plays that. He's a bass guitar
Oh,
player,
really?
and I remember him playing that because he just thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing with, like, Matlock. Like, I mean, that
Mhm.
theme song freaking like, that whole New Orleans, like, jazz sound that it has to it, that song slaps. Like,
Yeah.
I will
When
I think about what I would ride around in my car and realistically play with, like, the windows down. I would literally bump the Matlock theme song in
there
my
was a
car.
a long time when I was a kid that I was trying to get in trying to pick up various instruments. I ended up on bass. That was the one I played the longest.
Mhm.
Um But my dad already had a trumpet from when he was a kid, and so he was like, "Well, I have a trumpet. Let's see if whatever." And that was I was constantly trying to play the Matlock theme song, but it's like so loud and brassy, and you
Yeah.
have to be good at it to be able to do it. But like I made a couple squawks, and I was like, "Oh, that sounded like the Matlock theme." So I just tried to figure it out, and it's like, at that
That's
time
a
there weren't like tabs you could look on the internet.
right.
It was way before that, so it was when I eventually picked up the bass in high school through college is when I played bass, but,
Mhm.
um, and those definitely you have tab or had tabs for, but it was always just like, what very recognizable thing could I play, to kind of just, like, have fun, by myself, and yeah, the I never deigned to try the Night Court theme because there's a lot of slap in that, and I can't do that,
Yeah,
but
that one seems pretty challenging, difficult. Matlock, my daughter actually can play it. She did it on the flute. And I'm like, this is a show that she has, like, no familiarity with whatsoever. She's just heard the theme, like, I guess, in the ether or something. Like, I don't remember the last time I've watched a Matlock episode. Like, again, I haven't seen a lot of that stuff since I was a kid, but somehow she picked up on it in, like, the ether and was playing
Yeah.
it in her room one day, and I'm like, "That's so weird." But, I mean, it's also we had a and we've talked about this, like, a few weeks ago, I was, chatting with her or whatever. She's 14, and
Mm.
we were talking about, like, show songs and theme songs and things, and she was like, "I don't really think it's that much of a thing for us like that anymore." She was like, "But also, I don't watch a lot of sitcoms. Like, are there a lot of sitcoms on TV?" And she's asking me, and I'm like, "Are there? Because I'm like, I only watch, maybe a couple of, like, cable television shows, and a lot of
Yeah.
them just have it's a little short instrumental like Abbott Elementary. Like you've got like a little short little tune that's like 15 seconds, and then it's like
Yeah.
boom, we're in the episode.
Yeah, I was gonna like I remember listening to the Good Place podcast back when that show was on. I was a big fan. I am a big fan of the show. But
Same,
the opening theme of that is literally, I think, 6 seconds. Like
yeah,
it's just a swell of kind
right,
of upbeat orchestral music. Um, it's either that, and that's what you get on most network shows, or it is like on cable, those incredibly long opening title sequences that are designed to try to win an Emmy for best opening title sequence.
of course, yeah,
And all, kind of all based on
in the
Game of
style of Game
Thrones.
of Thrones,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the Game of Thrones at least has a memorable tune, but I could not tell you the tune of most of those type of shows because
No,
I generally skip for the
yeah,
most part. I'm just like, all right, never skipped Game of Thrones, but would constantly skip everything else. But um, it's so wild to me, and never will there be lyrics again because that's devoting too much time to something that they could be spending on another ad. You know, um,
unfortunately,
but like, yeah, there were so many, and like we'll get into it. And obviously some of the ones I don't want to list ones that we might have on each other's quizzes, but like,
hmm
um, going back and watching like on either Tubi or something like that, a lot of old sitcoms, like if you play the full, not even like the like song version of it, but even just the full opening, sometimes it's like over a minute long. And it's like,
yeah,
I can never imagine them doing that again. Like an
no,
entire minute of a theme song.
no. You know who actually still does theme songs though?
Hmm.
Um, so 50 Cent has like the whole Power universe, and then he has his show now like BMF. They actually have theme songs. Of course, those aren't sitcoms; those are like crime
Right.
dramas or whatever. But
Right.
he actually has a like rapping, singing slash singing theme song that lasts
Wow.
for a good amount of time. BMF's is actually really good. Yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, that's great. But it also
yeah,
is like, well, those shows are kind of about, no, I guess not. I don't know. It's hard to say. But that's funny. That's I'm sure that was like,
yeah.
I want to make these shows, but I'm gonna have actual theme songs in them. Like,
Right.
I love
I
that.
mean, but of course for him it's also a little bit of a cash grab because I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
he's the
that's
one,
true.
producing and rapping on the theme track. So you're making money as a producer, creator, but then you're also
Yeah,
making money there and like you were saying earlier, like these are songs that I've actually heard on the radio before.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's an interesting thing with some of that stuff. So like, because of the way ASCAP works, which everybody who doesn't know that is like I don't. It's something to do with music.
Mhm.
These are the regulations that go with recordings and songs and everything like that. Um, a lot of times theme songwriters would make more money than like the creator or the directors or something like that because those songs would be so heavily like regulated and licensed that they would have to. So when you think of the original Star Trek theme song, which was Alexander Courage, which is just da 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 da.
Mhm.
Lyrics actually exist to that were written by Gene Roddenberry just so that he could get some of the money from the theme song. As
I
the
didn't
story
know that.
goes, Alexander Courage wrote the song, they liked it, and then surreptitiously, Gene Roddenberry wrote lyrics to it that are not good, but I know them. Beyond the rim of the starlight. It's so stupid.
Oh my god.
It's like a love theme. But that's just because he wanted money off of it. And the MASH, what became the MASH theme song, obviously that was a movie first, but
Mhm.
I'm going to say it's the name of the song. Suicide is Painless. Um, I think it was Robert Altman's son either wrote that entire song or just wrote the lyrics to it. I can't remember, but like his son made so much money off of that movie and he made regular
Nothing.
director fee and that was it. I find that so interesting. And then of course it was used as the theme song to the TV show version. And so he made crap tons of money off of
Even more
that too.
money. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
They almost never sang no, was it on the end credits? MASH was on for longer than the actual Korean War, and it's also been in reruns for 400 years, but I don't ever remember if they actually sang the theme.
I don't recall unless it
I
was
don't
in the end credits. I
right.
definitely don't think it was in the opening credits.
Do 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 do
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was
I
another
l
one too.
Yeah.
My grandma loved MASH. Like, I spent
Oh, yeah.
spent so much time either with children. It was no in between. I was either with, like, kids my age watching Sesame Street or with my grandmother
Yeah.
watching old TV, old people TV. Andy
They put
Griffith,
out
all those things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was You know what? That's as best as I've ever whistled.
You're a great whistler. I was about to
Thank
say
you
that.
so much.
I didn't know if that was a talent you have been hiding for a while. I've never seen
Uh,
you display that talent before.
I don't do it that often. My dad was a, like, world-class whistler. He whistled all the time and was really good at it. I can whistle some of the time. It just
Yes.
depends on
I have a
it's a
lack of
lot of
whistling
mouth
talent.
control.
I
It's,
have a lack of whistling talent, yeah.
I don't even know if it's, like, an important skill. I mean, it's never been an important skill, but I don't even know if it's something, like, people teach people anymore how to do. Like, I remember whistling being fairly important, not just
Mhm.
in songs, but, like, to call your dog, for example.
Yeah. Whistling and snapping. I feel like people don't whistle and snap like that anymore.
No,
They just yell.
they just yell. They simply yell
They
at
just
things.
yell.
They're angry people. All right, so let's get to it. This will obviously spur some conversation, which is the whole point of this. But do you want to give first or receive first?
Uh, I'll let you go. I'll let you go first. I'll
Okay.
I'll I'll do my best guessing. I feel like this is gonna be hard because you're used to even if you do know the lyrics, right? You're used to hearing them in a certain cadence and,
Yes.
like, with music and stuff wrapped around them. So, this is gonna be interesting.
Okay. And obviously, I'm going to leave if the lyric leads to the name of the song, I'm going to leave that out just
Okay.
because. But generally, these are going to be lyrics unto themselves. I'm going to start off one that you and I both love already, but I
Mhm.
just let's get this going.
Sure.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and then you have. I'm gesturing.
Ah,
Would you like to hear it sung?
yes.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and then you have. Wow. I
Mine
thought
is
this was.
blanking. Yeah.
It was written by Alan Thicke.
Is it Growing Pains?
No, he actually didn't
No.
write the theme to Growing Pains, which I feel
Yeah.
like is a mistake. Anyone who doesn't know Alan Thicke, because why would you? He is Robin Thicke's dad. That's true.
Yeah.
Um, he was on the show Growing Pains for a million years, but he also was a prolific TV theme songwriter. I believe he also did Different Strokes,
He did
which
do
might have,
Different Strokes. Yeah.
yeah. And he did this song. You give up?
Trying to think about I know he did Different Strokes. What else he do?
It's a show about a bunch of women living in a series of places, both a boarding school and then eventually atop a store. Other
I
cast
don't
members included uh, eventually Cloris Leachman and George Clooney were on the show.
don't know.
All right. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and then you have the facts of life. The
Oh
facts
my
of life.
gosh.
There's a time you gotta grow and show you're older and you know about the facts of life. The facts of life. I could do the entire thing, but I won't.
Right.
So, all right. Well, I legitimately thought that we had already talked about that one, but
We have not. Not at
all
least
right.
not that I recall.
All right. Well, hey, we're not keeping score. This is just fun.
True.
I that was a show that I vaguely remember when it was on, but then the USA Network showed a lot. Like again, summertime or days off from school. All there
Yeah.
was to watch after, especially during the week, there was either, like you said, either PBS shows or, especially in the afternoon, there would be reruns of sitcoms and then eventually soap operas. Because my mom was a Days of Our Lives fan, so we watched that as
Okay.
opposed to Young
Yeah.
and the Restless. But I think she also kind of watched General Hospital, but she was definitely more Days of Our Lives. But and that one is just like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Me.
Okay. This is pretty short. Come and knock on our door. We've been waiting for you. Where kisses are hers and his.
Three's Company too.
Yes.
That show is
It's kind of a creepy
it's creepy now.
lead in. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
even the lyrics or whatever, I was like, this is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Kind of creepy lead in.
Uh, do you remember the premise of Three's Company?
Yes. And I'm
It's
like,
ridiculous.
really?
This was a late 70s show, I think. Um, maybe mid 70s, I don't actually remember. But the idea was that the only way these very uptight landlords would let a boy live with these two girls unwed is if he were gay.
Yes.
And so he had to pretend to be gay.
To
And I
pretend
feel
to be
like
gay.
that went away very quickly because that,
Yeah, I don't even think it made it out the first season. Like, it
yeah.
was a matter of episodes before that whole bit gave up, and I'm like, "Well, what was the point of that?"
That was another one that was based on a British show. There was
Mhm.
so many of those that were based on British shows. And I feel like as there were way fewer episodes of that show,
Right.
the premise could be extended a little bit further. But when there's 25 episodes of a show for 7 seasons or however long that show lasted, like that's
Right.
impossible to try to do that.
Oh my goodness.
And then there was the after that show was called Three's a Crowd, I believe, which was about Jack and his new wife living with her parents. Wah,
Oh,
wah, or her dad or something like that. It's not good.
yeah, it's
Anyway,
like, no,
no.
not good.
Um, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna give you a cartoon now. I'm gonna do
Okay.
cartoon, and you're gonna get this one immediately because you've already mentioned it. Daring Duck of Mystery, Champion of Right.
Darkwing Duck.
That's of course it's Darkwing Duck,
Yes.
one of my very favorite shows
Oh
growing up.
my gosh, my favorite. It's my favorite. I love that show.
Yeah.
That was one of the ones that I definitely, like, not only did I watch it on my own, but, like, me and friends would, like, gather at lunch and talk about it at lunch
Hmm.
among ourselves or whatever, like, about whatever happened for the week. Yeah. That's one that
Yeah.
takes me back to like, it's definitely when I hear it, it takes me back to a really specific time.
Yeah. There's a lot of those Disney afternoon shows that were like, it feels like I watched them for so much longer and they were only on for a couple of seasons max.
Right.
Generally, I think
Yeah.
Darkwing lasted longer than a lot of them, but like other
Yeah.
ones,
A lot of them
uh
are only like a season or 2, and you
yeah,
feel like you watched them for years, like you grew up with the show, and then you
yeah,
go back and you know, you look now and it's like, wow, that had 13 episodes.
yeah. Well, it's funny because like in order to get to syndication, you had to get at least 65 episodes so that they could be run for 12. I think it's 12 weeks of 5 shows a week or something like that,
Mhm.
and that was the minimum. Like you had to do at least that amount, and almost there's so many shows that only lasted 65 episodes, and you think, oh,
Right.
that's a long time, but it's like no, that was
Yeah.
one
They
season. That was one, yeah,
literally
literally like one
trying to
3 month
hit
period.
that point so they could get into syndication.
Yeah. Um, daily syndication, boy, I can't even believe it. But like the first season of Batman the Animated Series is 65 episodes. The second season is 13, but they had to have all 65 ready
Yes.
to go before it even aired.
Right.
It's
Oh
just
my
wild, just
gosh.
wild
It's
to me.
wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Darkwing Duck. I don't know. Have you tried to revisit Darkwing Duck at all?
I have not. We did revisit Batman the Animated Series, and my
Of
kids were
course.
like, "What the heck? Why?" Again, season 1, like, why are there so many episodes? So
Yeah.
they got a lesson in syndication and why people
Hmm.
were doing those things. I haven't watched Darkwing Duck in years. I just know that, like, I hear the theme and I immediately perk up. Like,
Yeah.
did someone call me?
I was hoping that it would be a little more. I think it's because I watched it when they first put the first volume out on DVD back when I was in college.
Mhm.
I was so excited. I was like, hell yeah, Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think it quite holds up for grown up audiences. I think it's very kid
Oh,
focused. Unlike a lot of those cartoons, which like Batman and some other ones were,
yeah.
the humor sort of transcended, or like maybe the style or the whatever transcended age. But like, I think Darkwing was a little kiddie. Um,
I can see
eh,
that. Yeah.
but and that was just me at whatever 20 something. I bet if I watched it now, I would think it's much funnier. But yeah. All right, next one on your list.
Okay.
Wait, yes,
Yes.
I have to make a little list that I did it. There we go.
All right. So the dream got broken, seemed like all was lost. What would be the future? Could you pay the cost? You wonder, will there ever be a second time around?
Oh, I didn't know it until you said second time around.
Mhm.
And that is, of course, is the another TGIF favorite,
Yes,
Step by Step.
step by step. I
That-
figured that last line would
yeah,
probably give it away.
boy, if you'd have stopped before that, I would not have remembered. I like it. I knew I had heard it, but I didn't know it offhand. But
Right.
second time around is if I think the
Well,
name of
that
the
one is
the song.
it's the chorus that you know the most,
Yeah,
more so than like the first, lyrics is step by step, day
yeah.
by day.
A fresh start over, a different
Mhm.
hand to play. It's in our brains, guys. Like
It is. Gosh.
it's I forgot to preface. This is a very millennial focused episode. I just
It
realized.
is.
Sorry, any Zoomers out there who might be listening, or Gen Xers, although you probably have at least heard of most of these shows. But um,
Yeah, there might be a little overlap there.
I bet there is. I bet
Yeah,
there is.
depending. But like step by step and all the TGI F things definitely feel like super millennial focused.
Very much so. Yeah, I love it, man. That was legitimately. I know the NBC one was must see TV, but TGIF for a while for us.
Was
Friday
it?
night shows,
Yes.
they just don't. Friday night is the death of TV shows now
I know.
on
It's
network
kind of
TV,
sad.
and that was the night for families. Like, it was crazy. Great. I love that one, and it wasn't on my list, so there we go. Okay, here we go. Another one for you. This is fun. I love this. If you like this too, please write into laserfocus@nerdist.com. If you don't like this, please write to who gives a crap. Here we go. There is more to life than what you're living, so take the chance and face the wind. An open road and a road that's hidden, a brand new life around the bend.
Run the lyrics back again.
Okay. Do you want me to sing them or just say them?
You can say them.
Just say them? Okay.
Yeah.
There is more to life than what you're living, so take the chance and face the wind. An open road and a road that's hidden, a brand new life around the bend. The next part is, there were times we lost a dream or two down the trail, and at the end was you. I didn't write those ones down.
Sing it.
A brand new life around the bend. There were
Ah.
times lost a dream or two.
Yeah, it's Tony Danza.
Yep, you got it.
That show with
Mhm.
Tony Danza. Ah.
You played a character named Tony. It's true of every
Yes.
show.
Oh my God.
You got Judith Light. You got Catherine Hellmond. You got Alyssa Milano.
Who's the boss?
That's right.
Right.
Who's
Yeah.
the
I was like,
boss?
Tony Danza. I'm like seeing his face. I can see everybody's face. Who's the boss?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I can think about it because I can hear the cadence of the song.
Yeah. That's tough when you just hear the
Yeah.
lyrics without the tune. It's tough. That's why this game is fun. If we just did the tone or the rhythms of lyricless ones, that would be wild. I don't know
Oh
if
my
we'd be able
gosh.
to do that one, but yeah, I liked that show a lot. I remember watching it a ton. And that is one I have never revisited. Like,
Yeah, I
with no
haven't
reason
had
to want to revisit.
Kirk Cameron, all of those folks, and we know how Kirk is now.
No, well, that was Growing Pains, but
That was Growing Pains, yes.
yeah, ugh, yikes. Yeah, a lot of people have not aged well, and by that I don't mean their humanness. I mean their
Right.
personas.
Yeah, they've become some different people.
Yeah, it's tough on that. That's wild that it's a lot of has-been sitcom actors joined that side. Ooh.
Eek.
I don't want to name the side, but there's an alt version of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up,
Okay.
what you got?
I know my parents love me. Stand behind me, come what may. I know that I'm ready, for I finally heard them say. And I can't say the next lyric because it's literally the name of the series.
Oh, no, my parents love me. Say it again.
I know my parents loved me. Stand behind me, come what may. I know now that I'm ready, for I finally heard them say. And I know you know the series.
Oh, I'm sure I
But
do.
yeah, and when you hear the lyrics in context of the music, you pick up on it right away.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know it. Sing if you would.
Well, I know Aretha Franklin, but she was the one that sang the original version of the song.
Okay.
So before I finally heard them say, "It's a different world
Oh, sure.
than where you come from."
that part is there for sure. I don't know
Yeah.
if I ever remembered the beginning part.
Yeah, like, I mean, the minute I hear those lyrics, like, they're like those
Yeah.
are some that are definitely emblazoned in my brain, but I definitely grew up in a house where, like, A Different World was something that was on rotation a lot, and that's also
Yeah.
a show that I've rewatched
Mm,
in recent years more than once.
yeah.
Yeah, like, I
That
did
had
a
a man, that cast is good. Anyway, go ahead, sorry.
Amazing. Especially once you got past, like once they got past all the kinks and stuff that they had in season 1.
Mhm.
There were some, like, creative differences and stuff like that. Lisa Bonet's, Denise just really wasn't fitting in, and it wasn't really, like, representing, like, HBCU
Mhm.
in the most authentic way, and then they brought in, Debbie Allen for season 2, and she
Yeah.
completely changed everything, brought in new cast members, changed the way that, like, the campus of Hillman looked, changed the dorms and the way things were set up. She brought in, like, people kind of, replicating, like, the Divine Nine Greek sororities and fraternities and stuff, and that was when it really just took off and, like, became what it was. I love A Different World, and of course, with any 90s sitcom, there are some parts that don't really hold up as well,
Sure.
but generally speaking, like, it actually holds up fairly well, and, like, they were tackling topics that a lot of people weren't really tackling with college age students at that time, like, assault and,
Yeah.
yeah, and, like, relationship abuse and, things like that, like, it was huge.
And, um,
Yeah, they also, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken, I believe they spoke on the AIDS crisis,
Mm.
which in the early '90s was, it was a big deal because there was still so much, like, stigma and misinformation around the virus.
Absolutely. And I remember an episode, it was kinda toward the end where, um, eh Dwayne Wayne, which we'll talk about in a moment, and, what was
Mhm.
his buddy's name? Um,
Ron.
Ron, thank you.
Yeah.
We're driving somewhere, kind of in the sticks, and they got into it with, like, some white college kids, and there was a lot of racial
Yep.
tension. They all
Yeah,
got
yeah.
sent to jail.
Mhm.
The white kids were going to write a bad word on Ron's car, and they all come out of jail, and someone has done it. And it was just like that was the end of the
Right.
episode. It's like such a gut punch of an episode.
That is an
'Cause
episode that's, like, seared in my brain.
yeah.
Yeah, like, one of many, and it's so weird how any sitcom you watch, like, I mean, there's so many episodes, and there's so much, like, ridiculous and, crazy stuff that happens, and then
Yeah.
you have these very specific episodes where you just cannot forget them. Like, even if you try it.
Yeah. And I think and that was probably right when I was at the age where I started, like, legitimately thinking about some of the stuff that they were talking about on the show, and it wasn't just like it was
Right.
washing over me and stuff, and man. But yeah, like, getting back to the cast, like, you mentioned Dwayne Wade. So just, like, 2 days ago, I saw, I think it was on Reddit or something, it was a picture of, and this was real, the basketball player Dwayne Wade wearing
Yeah,
glasses with
wearing the
flip-up shades,
glasses.
and it said, "Dwayne Wade cosplaying Dwayne Wayne," and that is such a
I love
specific
it.
joke, and
Yeah.
it's so good because that is what, I mean, anyone who, like, maybe passingly has seen an image from A Different World, it's either Sinbad, because he was on that show for a while,
Yeah.
or before he got his own show, and then or Kadeem Hardison as Dwayne Wayne with the
Yeah.
flip-up shades.
Yeah, you know
Uh,
that character even if
yeah,
you don't have any kind of, like, relationship with the show.
yeah.
It's wild.
Uh, man, that was good. Jasmine Guy, you got Cree Summer,
Mhm.
you got, I'm trying to remember, man, Debbie Allen, as you said, that was, yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
know how cool that was that they got Debbie Allen at the time. I just was like, "Oh, she's the lady from A Different World." I did not
Yeah.
realize, like, what a legend she was even back then. So, like, that was great.
Amazing.
Oh, fun stuff. All right, that was a good one. I did not, like, I knew the show obviously, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah, but
didn't
I mean,
know
literally,
that
if you
idea.
go and you listen to, like, the theme song, like, you recognize you remember, you kinda recognize
Yeah,
the words a little bit and stuff, but I mean, the music is just so even with them changing it, like, they had
yeah.
someone else sing it a few seasons in and
No,
stuff, but
but
they kept the lyrics
Aretha
the same.
Franklin, that's the one.
Aretha
Yeah.
Franklin's is the one.
It's the end when she goes, "And where you come from," like, she,
Yeah.
like, hits it at the end, and it's like only Aretha could do that. I know somebody
Ah,
else tried to do it.
so great.
Love that show. Good choice. All right. Uh, this is a cartoon, but it was on Nickelodeon when we were kids, but
Okay.
it is from like, before we were born, but it's just a good theme song.
Mhm.
When criminals in this world appear and break the laws that they should fear and frighten all who see or hear, the cry goes up both far and near for, it's a much
Mm.
more, like, the show itself is kind of silly, but the theme song is very serious.
Oh, that one I do not know.
Yeah, this one is for our Gen X fans or even
Mhm.
boomer people, but when and I'll sing it because I don't know if it'll help if you don't know. When criminals in this world appear and break the laws that they should fear and frighten all who see or hear, the cry goes up both far and near for name of the show.
For name of the show. Yes, that is one I definitely do not know.
Underdog.
Oh my gosh. I have
Speed of lightning,
yeah, I have,
roar of thunder.
like, some familiarity with that show, but yeah, that's a theme song that's
That
definitely
one
out of
was for
my
me. I
purview.
just love that one. I
Yeah.
love that one. But there was so many of those like because I think that was from the 60s. Like I remember when Nickelodeon started showing Underdog and Rocky and Bullwinkle and
Mhm,
like even the old very bad and quite racist Dick Tracy cartoon.
mhm.
Um where Dick Tracy is hardly in it. He only just sends off like here's who should go he, and talks into his little wrist radio. Did you ever
Yeah.
see that one? It's
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
oh,
It's not good.
every character on that.
Right.
Even the like Irish cop guy is like a huge stereotype.
I
It
was like,
is
"This is
such a
so
bummer of a
offensive."
TV show. It's so even at the time I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Um I'm not even going to say the name of the
Yeah, I
characters
do
cuz the
remember
names of
Rocky
the
and Bullwinkle,
characters,
though. Yeah,
yeah. Rocky
good
and
stuff.
Bullwinkle was great. Most of the time. A lot of it was funny. You know what? I tried to watch that a few years ago. The pace of it is so fast. Everyone talks so
It is,
incredibly fast on that show.
especially for that time period.
Yeah.
Yeah, where things just tend to move a little bit slower.
It was like so they can cram in more jokes. Like, holy cow. It was so fast, but yeah. Well, sorry you didn't know Underdog, and I would recommend watching it because it's fun. There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
Cute.
All right. Well, next.
Going through my little list here.
Yeah.
I had to make sure I put them down so that way I wouldn't
I did the same. And I wanted to make
yeah,
sure
that
that
way I
I had
wouldn't
the lyrics correct.
yeah, screw up the lyrics or anything. Okay. Somebody save me. Let your warm hands break right through. Somebody save me. Don't care how you do it. Just stay. Come on, I've been waiting for you.
Wow. I am fairly certain that that is the Smallville theme song
Yep, you are
from
correct.
what's the name of that band? Remy Zero?
Yes. Somebody save
Yeah.
me.
Oh, that was such a like a product of the early 2000s.
It
That was
really
what rock and
was.
roll sounded like in the
It
early
is the
2000s.
it is the most early 2000s thing ever.
Yeah. Well, that was
But
and that was
it's
the
the "Somebody Save Me" that everybody
yeah.
recognizes. Like, all the other lyrics are kind of like
Yeah.
just, literal noise.
Yeah. It was fun because like the WB was definitely like because I was on WB, which folks, if you don't know what the WB was, it was what the CW was. The WB and UPN, the United Paramount Network, combined to
Mhm.
become the CW, and that's what we have today. But
Oh, man. I
um,
miss UPN. They had good shows up there.
UPN did have, and it was distinctly different from the WB. It was such a strange
Mhm.
choice when they combined, and it basically just became the CW some more or the WB some more. It was definitely that style of like
Right.
early 20s like glamour people out there, but like Supernatural, which was on for a million years, started on WB and just carried over to the CW.
Mhm.
Um, very, very weird. It was a very weird time, but yeah, the UPN was sort of, I don't know what you want to call it. Like definitely more of a focus on sitcoms, I think. Although that is where Star Trek Voyager was and Enterprise, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, crazy days back then. I talk about UPN
Indeed.
extensively in a video that is out now. If you're listening to this on the Thursday, actually, it's it's out now whenever you listen to this. But about the 90s Marvel cartoons and how some of them aired on UPN, and so it was
Yeah,
very
yeah.
hard for them to like properly cross over all of them because some of them were on Fox and some of them were on UPN and some of them were direct syndication. And so it was very hard to like maintain a consistent universe, although they did try and it made it very confusing. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. That's a good call because yeah, Smallville that's what I was going to say is that the WB shows, I think starting with Dawson's Creek, where they were just like, let's just get
Oh,
a pop
yeah.
song and make it and see if it fits, you know?
Right. Oh my gosh, you couldn't escape that song. It was just like everywhere,
Yeah.
all the time, everywhere, all at once. Like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. I forget if we've talked about this, and maybe we have. We've known each other a long time, but Kevin Williamson, the creator of Dawson's Creek, did
Mhm.
not like that Paula Cole song, did not want that Paula Cole song. And so
Right.
when it came out on DVD, it has a completely different song. It's just kind of a
Yes.
generic song, but he was like, I don't
It's so
want that
weird.
anywhere on the DVD. He also probably couldn't license it, but he was just like, I don't like this song. So I'm not even going to try to license it, which I find very funny because for so
It's
many
so
people,
wild.
that is Dawson's Creek is the song.
To me, that song is synonymous with Dawson's Creek. Like, it's
Yeah.
the first thing before I even think of, like, Pacey or any of the characters. Like,
Hmm.
when you say Dawson's Creek, I think of that song before I think of anything else.
Yeah. It's the title, like the kind of whatever, cursive
Mhm.
type title over the dock with the little rowboat, and then
Yeah.
her going do 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 do
Doo-doo.
do. Ridiculous.
Ah,
Um. Okay, here we go. This is another sitcom. Sometimes the world looks perfect, nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you get a feeling like you need some kind of change.
Sometimes do it one more time.
Sometimes the world looks perfect, nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling like you need some kind of change.
Sounds so familiar.
Yeah, let me pull up the other lyrics. Yeah, this, you should get it. No matter what the odds are this time, nothing's going to stand in my way. This flame in my heart, like a long lost friend, gives every dark street a light at the end.
Is it Perfect Strangers?
Yes,
Okay, I was
it
like,
is Perfect Stranger.
I was like, I because once you started doing the other lyrics, I was like, okay, it's coming together. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh,
It's Perfect
that
Strangers.
just literally you literally just brought something out of, like, the vault of my mind. Like, I've
Yeah.
not thought about that show in years. Oh my gosh.
So
That makes
and the
me wanna go
chorus of
find
it,
it on, like yeah.
yeah. The chorus of it is standing
Standing
tall on the
tall.
wings of my dreams.
Yes. Man, people used
It
to really
is,
be, like,
yeah.
belting songs out. Like, they were either, like, ballad singing or it was, like, hard
Uh-huh.
rock singing, but people were, like, legit, like, singing theme songs. It's
Yeah,
great.
they were,
Yeah.
and that was like their whole job was like, I'm a theme song belter. That's my job.
Right.
Because you have to be. I wonder if they've got this morning zoo radio all of a sudden, but I wonder if they got uh musical theater actors to do it because they had to have a really like strong voice, but then they also had to be very clear with their diction so that we could all understand the words. And I feel like that is what most of them are for the most part.
Indeed. Yeah, so good. Like,
Yeah.
just and sometimes and it's even funny. Like, it's so funny when they're singing lyrics that are just absolutely nonsensical, and they're just you could tell they're just giving it their all and, like, belting it out. I'm like,
Yeah, what do they have
"This
to do
is
with anything?
this is a stupid song. What are we doing?"
Yeah, a lot of the songs are like, and they're so earnest, like so, like the Perfect Strangers one is a good theme song, but the Who's
It
the Boss one
is.
too. It's just like, oh, it's so much heart and feeling and longing, and it's just like for the
Right.
Balky show.
Yeah, it's not that serious.
No,
Yeah, Perfect
that's
Strangers has good lyrics, though.
yeah,
Those are good lyrics.
yeah. That one, this one even tells me who the lyrics were by Jesse Fredderozzi and Bennett Salve. Okay. I'm sorry to Mr. Jesse F for not knowing how to pronounce your name.
It is the first and maybe last time you've ever seen that name before in your life.
Yep. And I will forget it immediately.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. How many more do you have on your list? Probably a bunch.
I do have a bunch. I haven't
Yeah.
done a
Yeah, give me a cartoon.
yeah, I haven't done a cartoon one. So
Let's
let
do it.
me see. This is so fun. I love this song. Cruising down on Main Street, you're relaxed and feeling good. Next thing that you know, you're seeing octopus in the neighborhood.
Yep. That's Magic School Bus, right?
Yes.
as sung by Little Richard.
I
Excuse me for
know.
living.
I could not wait to I was literally getting ready to bring that up. I was like, "Why is Little Richard killing it on that song like that?" Like, how did that connection even happen? How do you get Little Richard to sing on a song about a lady in funky dresses who takes kids in
Oh,
a
I
school
feel
bus that
like
strinks
was it
to
the late
weird
'80s or
places?
early '90s? But I remember him putting out a kids record. Like it was definitely still of the Little Richard style, but it was like
Mhm.
there was a kids version of "You Keep on Knocking, but You Can't Come In," and it was like with knock knock jokes in it and stuff. Like,
Really?
yeah,
Oh
I remember that
gosh.
very distinctly. When I was
Yeah.
a little kid, there was an AM station that played it was kid radio or something like that, and it was a
Mhm.
nationally syndicated channel, but it was on this particular AM station in Colorado, and I listened to that nonstop when I was like in first and second grade,
Yeah.
and I would try to get other kids to listen to it. I was such a dork in even that early in school, where I was like, "You should listen to the kid radios," and they were like, "No, we're listening to Salt and Peppa," and it's like, ah, well, I get it. I'm definitely not cool. That's fine.
It's okay.
Um,
I think you're cool.
Whatever.
You've always been cool.
Thanks, Ty. I
I can
appreciate
appreciate.
that.
If you've always been yourself, you've always been cool in my
Wow, I
book.
like that. That's deep. Um, I
Indeed.
appreciate it. Thank
We
you.
should do theme songs that we just absolutely know now, like ones that you can't escape.
Okay, let's do it.
Ones that
Yeah.
yeah, ones that we do in Slack, our faves. No.
I go. I mean, I think I know the one you're going to start with. Please begin.
Now, this is a story
Of course.
all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, to tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air.
Bel Air. That song is so good. I would get so
It's
annoyed when they would
so
do the
good.
short version of it because sometimes they
Yeah.
would, and there's like, nope, you got to play the entire song.
I want the whole version of it. And then I
Yeah,
love in season 1, like, especially the first few episodes where they have, like, the full version of, like, the opening credits where he's on the
yeah,
plane and he's, drinking the orange juice and doing all of that stuff. Like, it's so fun.
yeah.
Ah,
And that was so in keeping with like DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince's like whole video ethos. Like
yeah.
they didn't mince words at all. They're like, this is the reason people are going to watch the shows because they like him and they
It's because
like,
they wanna see Will Smith.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
The
Because
Fresh
that
Prince.
opening is a music video. Like it is iconic. Like
Mhm.
with him sitting in the chair and it's spinning around and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
And you think about how many like, that's had such a big impact on, like, hip hop culture.
mm,
Even in recent times, you had, Joyner Lucas, who is a rapper that's also a really, really big Will Smith fan, and he literally did a entire video. Well, he did a song dedicated to Will, but he also did an entire video where he just kind of like they're just different like cuts in of him emulating different Will Smith moments, characters, all of that stuff. And one of the first ones he did, of course, he had on like the classic like striped shirt and all that stuff that Will has on with the flipped up hat, which again
mhm,
is like another like really iconic image, right? Like even if you're
yeah,
not super familiar with the show, if you see Will Smith with that on, you know that it's him playing Will, the character on The Fresh Prince. But he did that. He had that on. He had on a pair of J's, and he's like doing the spinning around and stuff. Like it's so cool. That song is awesome. But
yeah,
it also really lets you know like what to expect in the show. Like it's clearly this very like fish out of water tale. You've got
hmm
this kid from Philly. He's gonna go live over in Bel Air with his rich family, and hijinks and headbutting and all those things are gonna ensue.
And it even plays into a little bit of Parents Just Don't Understand, where they have that like
It does.
that fisheye lens of the mom, who is not his mom, by the way. That is not what his
Right.
mom looks like at all. But who says you're moving with your auntie and uncle to Bel Air and shaking
Mhm.
her fist in the camera,
Yeah,
and
the
it's like,
background with the graffiti, all of that stuff
yeah,
is straight from that video.
yeah. That was the
Yeah.
first time I'd ever heard somebody say "smell you later." Um,
And you can see the whole opening sequence in your mind.
yeah,
Like,
oh,
as you're
absolutely,
every single part of it, like, even him, the basketball hits the thug in the back
yeah,
of the head, and he turns around and he picks him up, and they have the
and
overhead
sends
shot of
him,
him spinning
yeah.
around in a circle. Oh my god.
Well, and even
The
at the end when he's
love it.
like when he does the little like dance to go to the house and ring the
Yeah.
doorbell, and as it starts to fade out, you can see him do the little like head
Yeah,
bob
the
or
little head
whatever.
bob.
I was just like, "Oh my god, it's in there. It's in there
It
forever.
is.
It'll be in there." And it's like the kind of like highlighter yellow hat, and I think it was the
Mhm.
hat
Yeah.
is the highlighter yellow.
Yeah, it
Just like
has
all the
highlighter yellow with the blue in it.
yeah, all the day glow kind of colors that was so big at the time. But
Yeah.
yeah, that show was like you and I have talked ad nauseum about Fresh Prince. We love that show, but
Yes.
um, my favorite is when, like, in the early seasons when they were like when he was actually at the prep school and he would wear the uniform inside out because it had like cool, you know,
Yeah, it had the patterning and stuff on the
the
inside.
floral
Yeah.
pattern. It was just like, oh man, this guy's a rebel. Like, you know what I
Oh my
mean? Like,
gosh.
he
Listen, one
does
of
not
my
fit.
favorite characters, like one of my favorite sitcoms, probably of all time. The
Yeah,
best. Yeah.
yeah. And
And
Carlton was
another show
such an
where a
a-hole early on, too.
oh my god, he sucked. I love their relationship and their friendship, how
Yeah.
they grew and imprinted on each other. Like it's a good show. And it's still a good
Mhm.
amount of it outside of like, I mean, back then, of course, like fat jokes and stuff were kind of like,
Oh, for sure. All
you
that
know,
stuff with Uncle Phil
yeah.
does not
Yeah.
age
Of
well.
course, it doesn't age well. I think, I mean, most 90s sitcoms you kind of can't really avoid that. But for the most part, I think that show's held up really well.
Mhm.
And it's one that I've revisited. It's probably one of the sitcoms outside of like A Different World and a couple of other ones that I revisit the most. It's my comfort show.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Uh, um, like that one was when they put that on syndication, I was so excited because like we used to watch
Mhm.
just whatever was on the syndicated channel,
Yeah.
which in Colorado was channel 2.
Mhm.
From like that was where the Disney Afternoon was on, but then after Disney Afternoon there would be syndicated sitcoms for a good
Yeah.
portion. And then when it just all became Friends and Home Improvement, I was just like, okay, you know what, I'm done. I don't need to watch
Yeah.
any of these anymore. I was thinking about Home Improvement when I was going through this list. I was like, Home
Mhm.
Improvement doesn't really have a theme song, but um
Coulda just
it
went,
yeah, but I do not see a world where that show is still watchable.
Mm. Oh, the last time I remember seeing it, and it's been probably 10 plus years. It hasn't been like since childhood, but I was like, this is not great. I feel like I enjoyed it as a kid, but watching it as an adult, I was like, I'm good. I'll leave this where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad to
Uh
say, I feel that way about Family Matters too.
yeah, I wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That show has such just a bizarre, like
Yeah, once it
like
became the
arc. It
Urkel
was
show, it's just like, what are you doing? Why would you
yeah,
do
and then
this?
it went full sci-fi at the end and swapped out to a new Harriet in season 9, which I don't even know if most people even remember that. 8 or 9, whatever the last season was. It
Mhm.
was either 8 or 9. It stayed on for a few seasons, but it just really went off the rails.
Well, after a certain point, it was only Carl, Laura, and Urkel were the only like remaining cast members, and they had new versions. But I
Yeah.
think even Eddie had moved away, and like,
Mhm.
I mean, the joke on the internet is the younger daughter who just disappears, and when like
Went
she
up the
goes
stairs
upstairs
and
and
never
never
came
comes
back.
down. um, yeah, that show was wild. And it definitely became broader and zanier as it went along. But it was, the
Mhm.
first couple seasons were just about a family, and that was what it ought to have been. But
Right.
they
Yeah.
so also one of the few examples, because usually they introduce like the new, the friend or the cousin or something like that when ratings are starting to drop.
Right.
And they didn't at that point, and they just kept like Urkel became like a I don't know what, like a he was a toy. You could buy a talking Urkel
It
doll.
was
Like that's how
nuts.
big it got.
Yeah.
And I bet a little bit.
Merchandising was just
Yeah.
it was just ridiculous. Like Merkel was everywhere
Yeah.
on everything. And even then I just kind of remember being like over it as a kid. Like, I don't like this. I don't remember Family Matters being on TV as much as The Fresh Prince. Or maybe I was just not seeking it out.
I don't think. I
Yeah.
mean, I know it had plenty of episodes to be syndicated, but
Mhm.
I don't think it was syndicated as many places. I think Nick at Night had it for a little while, and maybe like TBS or something like that. But it definitely
Yeah.
was
Yeah, it
not
was on
on.
TBS for a while for sure.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
not on as many places as Fresh Prince was. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was everywhere. And Saved by the Bell. Oh my god, you
No,
couldn't escape that show. It was
no.
just it seemed like it was on every channel. Like I was like, "Are you
It was
what's
on
going
every
on?"
channel, and nobody was playing the same seasons at the same time. And I had
No.
for such a long time. I'm like, what? Like, I have no idea when
Like,
anything came
what is
out.
going on?
Yeah. Like, I know that, like, you can tell when Zach gets a little bit older. Actually, all of them get a little bit older, and you can see, like, but I wouldn't know. I also
For the
didn't
most part, it was a
realize,
scramble.
yeah, the last season they got rid of both Kelly and Jesse and put in Tori, but then they interspliced her season, with ones that they had already filmed. I think maybe even like the the beach house season, and so it was just
Right.
like, what is this? Like,
Right, what is going on?
what, who am I supposed to be following at this point? That was a mess. That thing was a
It was a
mess.
mess of a show. Good theme song, though. Like, that's another one that's definitely an earworm to get stuck in your head.
Hmm.
And it's same thing, see the opening credits, all the, like,
Yep.
bright colors,
Yep.
the skateboard and the sneaker and
Hmm.
everything going by. That was good. I think the theme song might have been the best part of the show.
Yeah, I think you're right. Although I mean, I have to admit, like all the ladies on that show were. It definitely went for me, Kelly, Lisa, and then Jessie way low because I thought she
Yeah.
was annoying. Um, I mean, Lisa Turtle. What a character name. Have you ever met
I
anyone whose last name was Turtle?
No, no, I have not. Oh my god.
Hilarious.
There was a whole episode where she did, like, it it's not great. So they decided to do, like, research into their families. And Lisa goes back and she's like, "Oh, it's like her great-grandfather, but, like, his name was, like, Turtle." And I'm just like, "There's no way there was, like, a lineage of people, great-great-great-grandfather, and his name was Turtle." I've never met I'm a Black person, and I've never met another Black person with the last name Turtle, or any person in
Yeah, I've never
existence
met a
ever.
person whose
Like,
name's
yeah,
Turtle other than,
yeah, that's
of course, the
crazy.
guy from Entourage, but that's not his real name.
Right.
I also have never met him. So, um,
Nuts.
yeah, that was always just like, like I've never known anyone whose last name is Kapowski either, but still, it's like that seems much more
That
like
seems more plausible.
more
Yeah.
plausible than someone whose last name is just Turtle. Um, Also, it's funny that the principal's name was Mr. Belding, which is, of course, what do bells do? They ding. It's stupid.
Building. Yeah.
Saved by the Bell. That is dumb. That is a
Oh
dumb
my
bit
gosh.
that remained.
Yeah,
Hey, hey,
the
hey,
only
hey.
thing I enjoy about it at this point is I like going back and listening to April Richardson's podcast, Go
Oh,
Bayside.
that
It's yeah,
podcast is fun.
that podcast is great. A lot of good guests and stuff up there. Her and Paul F. Tompkins are fantastic together. I wish they would just do a whole podcast. Those are my favorite episodes.
Yeah, Paul Tompkins is good on
Oh
everything.
my god, he's hilarious.
He's my hero. There, I've said it. He's my hero. This one you will also get. This is another absolutely slam dunk. Also, interestingly enough, written by the man's actual name is Jesse Frederick, and it was just a typo in the last thing I read. A much easier name to know, but Jesse Frederick and Bennett Salve. Ready? You'll know this one. Whatever happened to predictability? The Milkman, the Paperboy, evening TV.
Everywhere you look.
That's it.
Full House.
Of
And then later
course.
Fuller House.
Yeah. Just if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I say. Like,
Listen,
why would you use a different show?
they're like, let's get a new person to sing it, slap it onto the same thing. It was the same show. So
Yeah.
why not?
But with references to the old show, the worst.
Many, 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 many references and
Stop
many
doing that.
much breaking the fourth wall to stare at us and also to throw shots at Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. Because they didn't come back.
They didn't want to be on.
Every time anybody would ask about Michelle, the whole everybody on screen at the time would just be like, they'd turn around and just stare at the camera.
Stupid. I never watched Fuller House. I couldn't do it.
I did. I have kids, so I end up watching a lot of things that I end up getting my hand forced on a lot of things and watching stuff that I don't want to watch. And basically it was just, you didn't miss anything. It was literally just, they took the bones of Full House and just insert in new characters, same personality types, all of those things. Like,
Yeah.
It made Stephanie started out cool, and then they just made her like DJ uncool, and I hated that.
No.
Like, she was a literal DJ, and it was so the one thing I did find funny is that her DJ name was DJ Tanner, and DJ's like, but that's already my name. Why won't you be DJ Stephanie? And she's like, there's already a DJ Stephanie, and she's like, there's already a DJ Tanner. Like, I'm DJ Tanner. So that was good. But she started out as like this, DJ traveling the world, doing all these things. And she was kind of like I would have rather seen her like do cameos as like the fun, cool aunt that pops in. And like, when she first came, she was giving the boys like CDs with like vulgar language on it and all of that stuff, like, doing the things that their mom won't let them do or whatever.
Yeah.
But instead she ended up moving in and being a part of like the three living there. And then she got married and had a baby and all that stuff, which I'm like, I mean, that's fine. But also I just would have rather seen her be the quirky aunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many jobs do you reckon Jesse and Joey had in the tenure of that show?
Too many.
Constantly changing their careers.
Constantly. They always had something going. They're definitely a lot more settled in the Fuller house.
I would hope so.
Yeah, like Joey, he has a, gig out at the Venetian,
Mm,
and according to him, he was kicking Carrot Top's butt, and I'm like, "Well, I don't know."
that is a fantasy show.
Which is actually I was gonna say, which actually is Carrot Top actually has a show out in Vegas that people go
And has
to
for years.
and
He
has
makes
for
a
years. Like,
ton of money.
it's wild. I almost wanna go. Like, I don't wanna go, but I kinda wanna go because I wanna see what people are seeing.
Yeah. All he does is his show at whatever hotel it's at,
Mhm.
works out crazily because his arms are insane,
Yeah.
and like drives around in a fancy car and lives in a huge mansion because it's cheaper to live out in Vegas.
You know what? I
It's
love that for him.
you know what, good for you, Carrot Top.
Yeah.
Probably spends a fair amount of time building new props, and that's about it.
Love that for him.
Yeah, me too. That's of course another TGIF favorite, Full House.
Mhm.
And step by step, which we've already mentioned, Full House, Family Matters. And then there would always be that like cycling fourth show, and I think at one point it was Perfect Strangers, like the last few seasons of Perfect Strangers, but
Yeah.
then it was like, what are we going to put at 9:30? And then it was just like nobody knows because nothing works there, and like
Right, yeah.
I can't. I'm trying to remember some of the shows they tried, like everything. There was a show about an alien, I think, at one point. There was like a teen angel show about a
Yeah.
ghost kid, which is
I think most
very
of the
dark.
things were really short-lived. Like,
Oh
literally,
yeah,
those one season and done.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, or they were just derivative. I think that's the thing, because even Step by Step is the Brady Bunch. Like it just is the Brady Bunch.
Mhm.
But like edgier or whatever, and then that show became too much about Cody, the surf neighbor, not neighbor, cousin.
Yeah.
Um, again, like what? Every show started out just about families, and then it became about this
And then it
weird new
becomes
character.
some weird character. Yeah.
Were we
Who's supposed to be a
so
side character.
yeah. Like it never actually like Full House definitely relied a lot on Kimmy there by the end, and she was annoying. But like she never took over the show the way that Urkel and then eventually Cody took over their respective
Yeah,
shows.
no.
And Balky already was the weirdo, and he was a lead, so that's fine. The show could be. We used to just call the show Balky when I was a little kid,
Yeah, and that's
because
one thing that Fresh Prince never did. Like, they had,
no,
like, side characters and stuff. Because even when Jazz would come on, like, he consistently stayed a just random side character that would pop up every now and then
hmm
for, for shenanigans and stuff. Like, they didn't make it the Jazz show, and they didn't
no,
start, like, tossing him out in every other episode. Like, that bit is funny because they didn't overdo it.
hmm
Yeah, the funny part is he's wearing the same shirt every
every
time.
time they toss him out. Yeah,
No, it doesn't matter what he has on in the actual episode, like, that
yeah,
same scene plays, and he has on that brown and black shirt with, like, the patterning and stuff on it.
that's so funny. They
Man,
figured no one would
the
notice.
style on shows in the '90s was so much fun.
It's just very billowy, like a lot of like very zoot suit
Yeah.
inspired pants on
Mhm.
men.
Yeah, asymmetrical patterns, like,
Yes, very much.
fun stuff.
It was a lot of fun stuff. But I mean, I know it's coming back, and maybe even it's passe at this point. That was
Mhm.
maybe a few years ago when the 90s were back, but um it's wild to see like big baggy pants coming back as like this is the
Oh,
height
yeah.
of fashion. My wife is like, I don't want to go back to baggy pants. And I was just like, I'm sorry, but this is what you have to do. I don't.
I
I'm
can't.
a dork, and I will forever buck trends by being dorky,
Yes.
so it's fine.
I will not do that.
No.
Yeah.
I did my time with baggy pants. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, there are some things, some trends, like, a lot of things in the early 2000s, I'm like, I'm not going back to wearing that. I see girls wearing it now, and I'm like, I'm gonna leave that to the young people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the great thing about getting old is that you could just wear what you wanna wear. You don't have to feel the need to be on trend.
No.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
You
Be
have a signature
yourself.
style, and so you just stick with it.
I do. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
as you well know, my signature style is graphic tee, cardigan, short hair, glasses. That's my thing.
It works for you.
Jeans. I
Yes.
don't
You should have a logo made.
a me logo. Well, the problem is
Yeah.
I also look like any one of a million other guys, so it's fine. It's
I
this is
appreciate the
my look, and I have
self-awareness.
embraced it, but I understand that there's a million people out on the internet especially who look like me, but Um, before we wrap, because we could talk about old shows forever and can do it again if we want to, but I want to talk a little bit about some of these cartoons. So I was looking through cartoon theme songs, and there were a
Mhm.
few that, um, very few of them actually don't have the name of the show right up front. That's a big part of it because like
Right.
Captain Planet, he's a hero, going to take pollution down to zero. Like it's right there at the
Yes,
beginning.
literal first words.
Yeah. It's time for Animaniacs right there at the beginning. Um, do you remember the Freakazoid theme song? Freakazoid's another show I love. Super
Oh my
Teen
gosh.
Extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Freakazoid,
It's
Freakazoid.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they have lyrics at all. Like
Yeah.
some of them is just music.
So everybody remember, I was looking, a lot of the 80s ones, especially when they were first starting to make those cartoons that were just designed to sell toys, they would, as you mentioned earlier, really have to hammer home the premise of the series in the
Right.
opening so that people would get the whole vibe so that they would buy in right away so they could buy the toys.
Yeah.
Um, the everybody remembers Transformers, robots in disguise, Transformers,
Mhm.
more than meets the eye. Do you know the next part of that song?
I do not know that because that's like the very beginning is the only part that's like super stuck in my head.
Okay, so this is like, I don't know, like they tried so hard to force words into the meter of this song and it just doesn't work. So here we go.
Mhm.
Transformers, more than meets the eye. Transformers, robots in disguise. Autobots raise the battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. What?
Why? Oh my god.
You put Decepticons in a
Right.
lyric. Like and it's
Why?
so fast. It's so
Yeah.
fast.
That's like 40 words.
Yeah.
Oh my
And it's just,
gosh.
it doesn't make any sense, but like that's all anybody needs is the more than meets the eye.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, Power Rangers. Go, go, Power
oh, that
Rangers.
song is,
That song is
oh,
I love it.
with like the metal riff. And they tried many times to
Yes.
kind of, once they stopped the Go-Go Power Rangers era and they moved on
Mhm.
to like Power Rangers Turbo Go, that kind of thing. Not as good. And then it just kind of doesn't. But Go-Go Power Rangers is
That song
truly
is
iconic.
fantastic.
Um, have you listened? I mean, this is an older show, but like, do you remember the He-Man theme song?
Yes. Hey,
It's
man, it's
literally
great.
just He-Man, and then it's He-Man talking directly to camera, telling you, like, just speaking. I won't
I
say the whole
love
thing. You can find it on
I
YouTube.
love it.
And then it ends with He-Man.
Hey, man.
That's it.
They got right to the point.
It's
Oh, yeah, I love that for them.
yeah. There's more like I got into a rabbit hole. So like Thundercats are on the move. Thundercats are loose. I mean that means nothing, but I like it.
Right.
Do you
Yeah,
remember
that was one
Silver?
I thought of, and I was like, "You can't do it
Yeah,
because half of the song is
yeah.
saying Thundercats." Like,
Thunder, 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 Thundercats. Still a great song. I quite enjoyed that one.
me
Did
too.
you ever watch Silverhawks, which was like basically the same people made the exact same show but in space and about robot hawks?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The theme song of that is uh uh hang on. I have Thundercats in my head now. Um shoot, hang on. I'll cut this out. I need to think of it. Okay. Okay, it goes wings of silver, nerves of steel, silver hawks, partly metal, partly real. Is metal not real? Is metal a figment of our imagination? I know what they mean, partly metal, partly
Right.
organic, but like that's not like everything's are you
Listen,
are
what
you
else are they gonna get to rhyme with steel? Like,
great point.
they were doing their best.
Partly metal, partly real.
Partly real.
That's like one time I was at a I was on a set for something. I think I was an extra in something when I first moved out here. And you go to there was lunch break, and so they have like the trough of the stuff you can get.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
guy, the caterer guy was like, "All right, so we got fish, chicken, and meat." And he meant beef.
Right.
But it's like, so what is the fish and the chicken if not meat?
A lot of people don't see fish as meat, and I don't understand why. They're like, "I don't eat meat, but I eat fish."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "It's
It's still
That's
meat.
that's
It's an
still meat.
animal.
Yeah, it's an animal. Like,
I mean, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Fish are stupid and I don't mind eating them, but that's still, you can't say that it's not meat.
right. It's definitely meat. I don't
Yeah.
know why people do that.
No, I don't know why people do that either. Pescatarianism is a thing, which is what I kind of strive for. Although it's hard to. Oh, this is not part of the show. Who cares? Um, Ty, did you have anything else in your brain or on your paper that you wanted to mention?
The one thing that we didn't bring up,
Okay.
and I'm kind of sad that we didn't because it was one of our iconic moments in Slack. Like, we did not bring up Gilligan's Island.
Oh yeah, of
We
course
literally went through that whole entire song back and
we
forth in
did.
Slack. It's so good though.
Yeah.
Uh,
What was it? So my thing is always asking a question version of what the next lyric is going to be. That's kind of my
right.
go-to bit.
You're
And you
like,
were answering me
how
like it
long
was
was it? And I'm like, oh my God, it was a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour. And I put it like in all caps the second time. Oh
um,
my gosh. You talk about wanting to know like the premise of a show. Like they got it all in there. Told you everything that happened.
I
Literally told you to sit back because I'm like, we're about to tell you
yeah.
a
Oh, you're
tale.
gonna hear a tale of a fateful
A
trip.
fateful trip.
Um, that song is great because it is very iconic. It's also super long, and it also
Hmm.
it can't. I mean, it probably did, but it can't really exist on its own without the show. Like,
No, it's super tied to the show.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Skipper, Brave and True, and I love. I mean, this is infamous at this point, but like Tina Louise had it in her contract that nobody could be listed after her, which makes absolutely no sense. And so that's why it's a movie star and the rest for the
And the
first hour
rest.
long. And then eventually they were like, a movie star, the professor and Marianne. Just like, how we got to say about
Right.
that? Stupid.
Good
Oh,
times.
politics on sitcoms. Yeah, that was I didn't even think about that one because I was only searching 80s and 90s, but you're absolutely right. That was
Hmm.
definitely, that's maybe, I mean, along with Brady Bunch, Beverly Hillbillies, these ones that legit
Hmm.
just told the entire premise of the show.
Yeah. Jeffersons. That's a good one. That's one of my favorite ones. So
I'm
good.
moving on up. That's a great song.
It is
God dang, that's a
great.
good song.
Gosh, it's good.
And the Good Times theme, you mentioned it earlier. The Good Times is a
Mhm.
great song.
Yeah, I talked about those a lot more. I had done a post on
Yeah.
Nerdist.com a
Mhm.
couple of years ago about black sitcoms and kind of how the lyrics and stuff tie directly into the show and kind of tie into like overall like black culture and stuff. And the Jeffersons
Mhm.
is one that like seared in your brain.
Mhm.
People literally just sing it. Like I've been at a family reunion before and people have literally just sang it or used like lyrics from it. It's like, oh, we moving on up to the east side.
Yep.
Like it's a part of like,
Yeah.
like the ethos is part of culture. It's so cool.
I love it. And then the other one that I think about a lot is sung by the person who's in the show.
Mhm.
Give me a break, I sure deserve it. Nell Carter with her
Yes.
tiny little voice. I mean, she could belt, but her voice like pitch is
Right.
very high.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she was really small too. Like she was like
Mhm.
4'8" or something like that. She was a really tiny woman. Um, Give Me a Break,
Give
which
Me a
had
Break
Joey
doesn't get
Lawrence on
enough
it when he was a
love.
child. Yeah.
Yeah. Deserves more love. That's one that people forget about a lot.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Give Me a Break. Oh man.
Yes. That songs that just don't have just you just recognize the I don't know, recognize the cadence, the music. Adam's Family.
Da-na-na-na. Yeah, of
Da-da-da-da.
course.
Yeah. Oh my
I
gosh. That might be one of the most like recognizable theme songs
mhm.
across the generations.
I think I enjoy listening to the Munsters theme more just because it's kind of more surf rocky, but like I
Mhm.
do think that it
It's a
is
good one.
less iconic because it doesn't have lyrics and it doesn't have the snap, which is inherently kind of
Right.
um communal, I
That
guess. People can do that.
Mhm.
What was the other one I was going to? Oh, so the Different Strokes theme, which we mentioned earlier, that's another like very groovable song. Now I cannot remember how it goes because all I have is "Give Me a Break" in my head. Uh, crap. It's only one of two. Too many songs in my brain.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like,
Different,
it's so many that exist. It's
written by Al
ridiculous.
Thicke.
Mhm.
It goes. There we go, lyrics. Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born, he's a man of means. Then along come two, they got nothing but their jeans. Very weird song.
Those are odd lyrics.
Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah, well,
Nothing but their jeans.
right.
How are we
What's that
going to
have to do?
convey two
What
short
does that have to
lines that
do with
this man is
anything?
rich and these people are poor? How are we going to do that?
Right. They just have genes.
It takes different strokes to move the world. Man, TV theme songs are so fun.
They are fun.
Anybody who doesn't remember half these songs, just go on YouTube. There's like huge compilations that you can just sit
Mhm.
put on. And some of those shows you will absolutely not remember. I don't think so. Good Times in my brain is sort of the same type of show as What's Happening, but Good Times has a far better theme song. What's
Oh, yeah.
Happening is very boring.
It is.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Kind of annoying, actually. Sounds
Good
like
Times is good.
Good Times is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What does she say? Hanging up and jiving? What does she say? Did we look this up one time?
Hanging in the chow line.
Oh,
So, like
that makes sense. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Times theme song. Yeah. That makes a lot more sense. Hanging in the chow line.
But a lot of people thought she was saying, like, hanging and a jiving, 'cause that's kinda what it sounds like.
Temporary layoffs, good
Good
times,
times,
easy
easy
credit rip
credit
off.
rip-offs, scratching man surviving.
The season 1 DVD box set has the lyrics hanging in a chow line. However, the writers confirmed that it's actually hanging in and jiving. Well, that makes no sense.
Really? Yeah.
Ain't we lucky we got him? Good times.
Good times.
And that show was definitely pre us. That was a show that we
Mhm.
definitely only ever watched in reruns.
Yeah,
And yet
yeah.
it's brain. It's in the brain.
It is.
Gotta love it. All right, Ty, thank you so much for being here, as always.
Thank you. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We will do another kind of weird dork out. This is what I always wanted for the show, which is just people talking about stuff they love and remember and nostalgia and everything like that.
Yes.
Folks at home, please, or wherever you are, I don't know your life, but if you would like, I would love to hear what your favorite childhood theme song is that has, I mean, it doesn't have to have lyrics, but if you know the lyrics by heart, that would actually be, I would like to hear those things. Please write us at laserfocus@nerdist.com. That would be great. Maybe one of these days people will actually write to us and I will actually do a mailbag show, which is something that I proposed early on, but no one has written to us. So, Ty, how can people get a hold of you and read your work if they choose to do so?
Well, of course, you can read my work on Nerdist.com, but
There
I
you
am
go.
also on Instagram at writer Tai Gooden.
Wonderful. I am
Yes.
also on Instagram at functional_nerd. Please follow me also on Letterboxd, Kyle_Anderson. I'm about to go to Turner Classic Movies Festival, which means I will be watching a lot of old movies, and I will try to give my responses for what I think of these movies. Some I will have seen, and some will be new to me.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks again, Ty, and thank you all for listening. I've been Kyle Anderson. Join me again next week when my guest will be a different person. Bye-bye. Laser Focus is a production of Nerdist Industries and Legendary Digital Networks. It was produced, edited, and hosted by me, Kyle Anderson. For more, visit Nerdist.com.